Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday morning live. Woot woot. We're in July 14th, 2019. Wow. Time seems to go by fast. And I think it's just a perception because there's so much going on. I think somebody else, time can go slow for them because not much is going on. So it's pretty cool. And I've been watching Netflix stuff. Yesterday, I watched a bunch of Netflix stuff. And I guess it's pretty timely that I'm watching Netflix because I'm really gravitating towards some of the, programs are a little bit like stupid. I just watch because, it's been a while since I've watched some of these movies, but other programs I'm watching stuff about the physics of the universe, the journey through journey through the cosmos. I mean, all the new findings and new updated information that scientists, cosmologists have figured out, and studying even some of the older concepts that are still very relevant today. And we have established that we are the universe. There's an internal cosmos and then there's an external cosmos. To understand our internal cosmos, we have to really understand the external cosmos. We have to understand really physics, chemistry, math, which has been my worst subject in school, because I really didn't really have any reason to use it because there was nothing of interest to me in this world at that time that I could apply the concepts of math. But now it seems that physics and chemistry and math are far more interesting now that I have something to apply it to and have a thesis around it in some way. And so now I'm more interested in understanding it. And thank God for the internet, because there is everything you could possibly want to know on the internet, everything. And it does take a person that has a certain amount of discernment to pick through all of the BS and find the gems that will support whatever thesis or confirm whatever interest that you have at the time. So those of you that eschew the internet and research on the internet, you're closing yourself off to enormous amounts of information, and that's unfortunate. But those of us that are open to the internet and open to finding and looking for the information, the nuggets, the pieces, all power, more power to you. You guys are amazing that are open to that type of thing. So anyways, so I just was learning about black holes and learning about the ever expanding universe, about wormholes. Of course, some of you already know this stuff because you already watched some of this stuff. But I'm really trying to find and understand these things that will correspond to the J Juice and what manifestations happen for us and how we can utilize the concepts in the cosmos as a way to understand what is truly going on in our bodies and what we are manifesting. Okay, so we learned that energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. Good morning, Belinda. It can only be manifested. It can only be transferred from one object to another. Okay, well, what creates this energy? Well, it's matter. It's matter and then photons, or little light particles. Okay, and so when you see somebody that's alive, like you saw my dog, the before and after pictures, before the J Juice and after the J Juice, she did not look very glowing in that before picture on my timeline. She looked kind of like just, I don't say dead, but almost like there was really no life to her. Her fur did not look lively, her eyes didn't look lively, her skin didn't look lively. And then you see the after picture after she's been on J Juice. She looked glowing, life, cognition, intellect, emotion. I mean, there's a vast difference when I looked at before and after pictures of my own dog, how she looked relatively dead before the J Juice, like she was just on that death trajectory, and now being on the J Juice, she is a major force of life and light. Okay, so life and light are can be used interchangeably in the context of life, of biodiversity. Okay, because things that are dead don't really emit light. They're dead. They're like a black hole. Okay, so to understand J Juice, you really have to understand cosmology and space and time, and because even time is going to be something that you're going to be addressing. Right now, I'm looking at like what constitutes time in our society, and that is the aging process. That is what constitutes time. You know, it's a social construct. Good morning, Tiffany, everybody. It's a social construct. That's what time is in our life here. And so let's pretend that we don't have deadlines, we don't have any authority telling us that we have to get our taxes in at this time, that we have to get our insurance and our bills paid at this time. We don't have a boss telling us that we have like a project that's due at this time. And we just are able to manifest food and water and shelter without doing anything. And we're able to take in the J Juice. It would just be, the only way we can measure time would be by the moons, by the sun rising and setting. That would be the only way we would measure time, because we would have nothing else to say, because we wouldn't see aging in our body. So time could relatively stand still if you didn't have all the social constructs and the aging apparent in the body. So, because I mean, now they're saying that the universe is so much younger than it was than what they previously thought, which it wouldn't surprise me, because I'm looking at the J Juice, and I'm learning about the Big Bang Theory, and I'm looking at the J Juice, and it's like, I mean, they say it's not a series of explosions, but it's an expansion. The J Juice is an expansion of consciousness, an expansion of life. The universe, when it is going through its Big Bang, and they were talking about that there's actually other universes that are going through a series of Big Bangs, and that maybe we are, one of many series of Big Bangs as far as our universe, the Milky Way. Then there's like the, another galaxy. I think we're the Milky Way galaxy. Then there's like the Andromeda galaxy, and other galaxies are probably as a result of many Big Bangs. So then you take, then there's these little circles, like the atmosphere, or just a way to differentiate, like the Andromeda, Milky Way, and all these, and you put little circles around it, and all of a sudden they look like cells. Okay, and I'm looking like, well, wow, that looks like a bunch of, because when they actually did the illustration of explaining the different galaxies and the Big Bangs, they look like little cells coming together. Okay, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And so, and then these cells, converge together, and it creates a bigger Big Bang. So a bigger mass consciousness, right? More life, more intellect, more, I don't know, wakefulness, I guess. And then you look at, in our body, because there's going to be, and then we look at our body, and we look at what life is, and then what death is. And life and death, it's all relative to the entity that is experiencing those two manifestations. So you can have a death of a body, but it's because another life form, which is like a virus, that came in and took over. So the life of that virus is taking over. So it's not really death. It's not really death of the virus. It's the life of the virus, but the death of you. And then you can flip it around and be like the life of you, and then the death of the virus, or the death of that black hole. So, and then we're looking at black holes. What is black holes? Where they envelop everything. They envelop gravity, light, everything. They just completely just decimate. But it's more of just it's a death of a star. And then what creates a death of a star? Well, the light burns out finally. Why does the light burn out? This is where I haven't really done that much research as far as why would a star die. I should go and look that up and see what Google would tell me why a star would die. Okay. Why a star would die. Why a star in the cosmos die. I don't know what Google will tell me. This will be interesting. So I'm probably not in the right way. Okay. Okay, so when a star is shining brightly, so the elements are, I wonder, When small stars or light elements are released, explain why. Oh, okay. So they're released, but why would they? Okay. Okay, the star more massive than the sun, when the core runs out of hydrogen, these stars fuse helium into carbon just like the sun. However, after the helium is gone, their mass is this is what I probably should have done a little more research, but that's okay. Because these are the questions that I have. This is how you find out why things happen, why everything. Because if you're not inquisitive, if you don't question everything, then you'll just take everything for face value, and it may not be necessarily good. So it's always good to just do your own research and ask questions, and then maybe you'll have some discernment to figure out the bullshit from the good stuff. Okay, so when the core runs out of the hydrogen fuel, it will contract under the weight of gravity. Ah, yeah. So, however, some hydrogen fusion will occur in upper layers. So there seems to be, stars are like the sun. Yeah, the stars is like the sun. Now let me find out somewhere in here. Okay. The shock waves can shade star forming their main core conformer. Okay, so the outer layers of the star fall inward onto the neutron, thereby crushing it further. So there's definitely some stuff going on. Okay, the star collapses by its own gravity, and then the iron core heats up. Once the core has turned to iron, it can burn no longer. Oh, so here we go. I'm going through. So, however, after the helium is gone, okay, when the core runs out of hydrogen, these stars fuse helium into carbon just like the sun. However, after the helium is gone, their mass is enough to fuse carbon into heavier elements such as oxygen, neon, silicon, magnesium, sulfur, and iron. Once the core has turned to iron, it can burn no longer. So it's the type of matter that is being related. Okay, the core becomes so tightly packed that protons and electrons merge to form neutrons. In less than a second, the iron core, which is about the size of Earth, shrinks to a neutron core with a radius of about 6 miles. The outer layers of the star fall inward, and the neutron. So imagine that's what when we die, that's basically what goes on when we die, is we're like a star burning up because it's not getting. Now, what would give the star what it needs so it wouldn't turn into this massive supernova, massive black hole? I don't know, because that's way beyond, that's out there in the that's left for the scientists to figure out. How do you save a star? Because our sun is a star. Okay, what would make a sun burn up? Well, we just saw that. We just went over that as far as the helium and not being and turning into gravity and all this other stuff. Okay, so forget that for a minute. We're not going to worry about the sun burning up, but we have to look at ourselves and what access we have to specific elements, because we learned that everything can be broken down to an elemental composition. Okay? Hey, Kevin. Everything is broken down to an elemental composition, the periodic tables. And then we have biocomposition, a bioconstruct, a biochemistry composition. And so our life is dependent upon what kind of matter times the speed of light. What kind of matter? Well, it could be the matter that would cause a black star or a black hole to create, or it could be the kind of matter that creates life, the Big Bang. Okay, so we can totally, and this is where like Kevin's like, oh my God, we got to now bring in, well, you already knew this, but I mean, bringing in these analogies from cosmology is a great way to really understand how our cells work, because our cells are like galaxies. I mean, that's really how you explain it. Our cells are like galaxies, and each individual component of a cell is like all the different stars and the planets inside. Yeah, absolutely. We are actually like mini suns in a lot of ways, because we are emitting type of energy, but we have the ability to add to our energy levels, to emit these photons, to emit the life. But then, some people out there that are giving their body the wrong matter. you're seeing them create energy, but it's a negative energy. How would you determine what's negative and what's positive? Because they are trying to destroy life. When someone is trying to destroy life, destroy people, create hatred, division, all of that, that's like a black hole, a dying star. It still creates energy, yes, but it is not the type of energy that promotes life. They're afraid of the salt. They are afraid of the salt. Those that are trying to debunk Jilly Juice are afraid of the salt, which means they're afraid of the energy, and they are like a dying star. It's going to happen at some point. It may happen in 10 years, it may happen in 20 years, it may happen maybe tomorrow. It just depends on where they are on the spectrum of life. Okay? So those of us that understand Jilly Juice understand that the salt is the energy, and it's mixed in with other electrolytes, which is mixed in with the other, minerals. And then you have, of course, the lactobacillus, which creates the biodiversity life. And then you have the nutrients, and then you have the waters, the carrier force, and we have oxygen, energy, and temperature. All of that then promotes life, and it creates little mini big bangs. What is pain? Pain is big bangs, mini big bangs. It's a sign of life. If you really want to get technical about it, you try to anesthetize life, you're taking components that create black holes and you're squelching the life. I mean, that's what's going on with the dying star, is that there's too much heavy, I guess what it is heavy metals that are throwing the balance off, and then gravity, I guess, with the dying star is taking over, and then it envelops everything. So I think, and I have to study more about that, but that's essentially what because we can take two different energies, okay? What we look at, it's all relative based upon our biochemistry. But if you really want to look at the bigger picture, if somebody is trying to destroy life, cannibalize and victimize people out there by creating hatred and division and all that stuff, then that is an energy that comes from it's a negative energy that contributes to a black hole. And that's really what's going on there, because it's allowing those negative elements to overtake your body. Then you have the Jilly Juice, and now you're seeing pain. You're seeing life. Pain is life, because you can't prevent pathogens. You can't prevent viruses. Viruses are basically messages from the universe. Now I'm going to get really broad and abstract, and this is where some people might have a hard time, but yeah, viruses are messages from the universe. The weaker your body is, the stronger the message. What does that mean, the stronger the message? It means that you're going to be seeing major pain, because your body is going to try to survive that message. Okay, because that's data. In these viruses are data, because we're exposed to viruses all the time. Some of us have no problem being exposed to viruses. We have no symptoms. Our body's able to deal with the information, and then we still keep living. Other people, they get exposed to a virus, they fall victim to it. They can't handle that mass amount of information, and guess what? They start seizing. They start having issues. Okay? Because the program is being changed, and the body is not able to override that program. So that makes sense, Kevin. A star never dies, it just spreads its energy. Right. But here in the context of Jilly Juice, even though a person may die and spread its energy everywhere, that's not the point of Jilly Juice, is for people to live in that concept. Because now we have to look at the context of Jilly Juice and life on Earth. Because then what you're subscribing to is that it's okay for people to die. Yeah, they may spread their energy everywhere else, but now that life is dead. Now it has to start over again and try to figure out how to keep alive. Okay? So yes, of course, everything, when a star dies, it's never really dead. The energy is disseminated. But when it comes to a human, we actually, as far as biodiversity, we have the ability to keep alive. And the cells that are not working for our body, they will get shed, and then that gets disseminated back into the universe. Yes, and it'll be composted and everything else. But we're not trying to promote death and say now we're just spreading our energy, because that is the holistic, new age concepts, is death is okay. Death is great. The sooner you die, the better. No, that's not where we're at. We have the ability to keep life going, so as long as our environment supports it. If our environment doesn't support it, where you have a major mass asteroids that come in and decimate life, then yeah, we're not going to be able to live, and we're at the behest of things that are out of our control. But if we have the ability to harness the energy and harness the elements in a way that would then promote life in our body, we really should be doing that. Should I say, should, is that the word that I should be using? Well, it's, hey, if you are a proponent for life, if you're a pro-lifer and you think that J juice is killing you, but you don't understand the chemistry, then you promoting a death type of process, which is applying the wrong elements to your body, is very hypocritical. This is why it's so important to understand the elements that make up J juice and the manifestations. Why pain? What pain is? Pain is basically the big bangs. Pain is life being created. And it probably came from, yes, all of those elements that you brought in your body was created by something else dying, yes. But do you have to be the one to die? Or can you live off of somebody else's death? You can. People do all the time. They go and inherit money from grandparents. That's like living off of somebody else's energy. And when you inherit a bunch of houses and trinkets and furniture and whatever, whenever we go to an antique store, that's somebody else's energy that have died in the past. So, thank you, Kevin. So that's how I look at that. Yes, we can derive energy from the dead people out there, but we don't have to be the one to die. Because remember, it's all a choice when it comes to humanity, especially when you get access to this information. Now, there are animals out there that have no choice but to go through their life cycle. And it is a life cycle. Some are shorter than others, some are longer than others. And then we have the ability to derive energy from their death. That's where the whole thing with eating meat is we're deriving energy from a life of an animal. Now, there's political consequences around that and political things, and that's fine. But it really is, it's about how you utilize the energy, how do you utilize the matter around you to create the energy, the life force in you? Because really, it's all individual. We can't legislate morals and legislate what people should do in other worlds, in other houses, in other everything. That's why I say it's better to worry about yourself than somebody else. Those that worry about other people out there and worry about their politics and worry about if they're being abused or not, which is fine, yes. It's your duty. If you see something, say something to an authority figure. But if you have no control and you don't see anything, then there's no point in worrying about what somebody else is doing. Okay? You worry about your own life and you create life, and then you hope you emit enough light and energy to then infect somebody with your life force, and then that will encourage them and incentivize them to then create more life in their world. You hope. But sometimes the way that your life and your energy is being received, it's being received on a very mutated negative energy type of body. And so no matter what kind of energy in life that you emit, it will not penetrate those iron cores that are out there. And those are in the debunking groups. They are made of major heavy metals. So you don't want to try to penetrate that, because you would be talking to a wall of iron. So you hope that your energy in your life force will penetrate those that are still open to creating little big bangs in their body, so to speak. And those that don't will have, a different big bang. It's like a death energy, a death throw. And you see it in your grandparents that are dying. You see it in your parents that are dying. They have their own energy death throes. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that's the trajectory they're on. They're still living, but the light is burning out. It's burning out, but you'll see them in their death throes. Okay, we want to keep increasing the light and creating more light and keep increasing life in the J juice world. And that's why the recipe is so amazing, because it's the salt that's the energy, and it's energizing the right elements that are corresponding and aligning with your body. And then you have the choice to take all the matter that has been from the death of other entities and apply it to your life and make it work. Because you can take matter and other elements from other dead entities in the wrong form, and then you are contributing to your own death. So that's why I say viruses are the messages from the universe, because no matter what, you have the ability to adapt to your environment. So as long as the environment is really supportive. If the environment is not supportive and you are around people who are abusive, who are talking smack to you, who are abusing you and all that stuff, then that is an element, an environment that does not support life. That's an environment that actually supports death. When you're constantly manipulating your body with the wrong elements, with somebody else who is dying, when we're taking on transplants from people who have been dead or growing, taking on transplants from somebody else that from other cells that are being grown, you're taking elements from somebody else and you're applying that same programming to you because you haven't developed your own programming. So of course it's going to be a death trajectory. Okay, so we have the ability to take on all the different elements that are out there and make it to where it's applying life, and on a continuous basis, not for the short term. Life lovers, yeah, yes. Because it really true, that's what pro-life is understanding how to apply the elements and have it correspond correctly for indefinite life. And then and that's what the whole thing with the expanding universe. The universe is always expanding. If it's contracting and going in, then there's going to be no life, really. How can you? So really, the universe is expanding, but why it contracts and why it has these black holes is because of the wrong elements, or a certain amount, and that's what I'm thinking, like, why we have to raise the vibrations. Maybe this is how we can stop. I don't know. I mean, this is just a theory now. This is not really for gospel. But if we do conquer death in our society, could that contribute to the life of the sun so it never burns out? I don't know. That's really reaching. But I'm just thinking, like, what would then cause what would trigger the supernova, which we know is that the lack of helium, the lack of, elements that are going to increase the life of a star. But why is there only so much in a star? Why isn't it being fed the continuous elements to keep it alive, to keep it burning brightly? That's the biggest question that I want to know. What has triggered a star to die to then not get what it needs to keep shining brightly? And it maybe have to do with the life on that planet. Somebody isn't keeping the home fires burning. Right now, we have people who are not keeping the home fires burning. They are celebrating death. They don't understand chemistry. They don't understand Jilly Juice, because Jilly Juice is life. So we have some people celebrating death. Yeah, then you have a dead people, dead planet, dead life. Well, now with this planet that is if we're on a death trajectory and we don't really understand chemistry and we're all dying at a faster rate, with this planet and then other planets then project that onto the sun and then the sun dies? I don't know. I have no idea. But it's something to think about. And maybe if we all start promoting life within our own bodies and creating a continuous life, that could then contribute to the bigger picture of our universe and our sun and all the other planets that we're in relationship with, that we're orbiting with, the Mercury and the Venus and the Uranus and all those. Okay. And maybe this is why, and this, I was watching something on, I was watching the History Channel, Ancient Aliens, and what's his name, Eric Von Daniken, and those other guys that are talking about the alien stuff were saying maybe these gray aliens, maybe all these aliens, reptilians and all that, are just us in the future. Maybe the reptilians are us in the future if we don't get a hold of this and we turn into these yucky little beasts, or we're like these beautiful Pleiadians maybe, or we're these, I don't know if it's Arcturians or if we're these gray aliens, but maybe those aliens are us based upon our choices. That's just something to consider. I'm not saying that it's true, but there's so many, things out there that people have talked about, and about the alien agenda and all these different visitations. And I don't discount it, and I don't want to say, oh, it's a conspiracy, oh, it's a conspiracy of the government trying to mess with the people. I have no idea, but we have to start looking at, right now we have the ability, we have life, we have the ability, we're seeing our technology, our advancement of technology, modern medicine, all these things, right? So it's not too far from reality that there are advanced life forms out there. And then time travel. Okay, I think in time travel is also potentially, as far as, can I prove it? Well, I'm looking at myself going through aspects of my time, watching my body healing, watching, things that I was suppressing, like, that rash I had over there on my leg come to surface after like 30 years of it not being there, 40 years. And it comes to surface with the Jilly Juice. That's going through time in a lot of ways. It's bringing to surface things that I thought I forgot about. Okay, so I'm thinking that time travel is in the sense of seeing other, us in the future, and then maybe us in the future coming back to say, hey, we're warning you, hey, if you, so it's hard to say. And Back to the Future was a great movie back in the 80s. Love that movie. But it's just, all of this is something that we need to just slow down and think about and understand the external cosmos, which will then give us key to understand our internal cosmos. And everything can be narrowed down to an elemental composition, a biochemical composition, a construct. Get rid of the social constructs of what we think is normal, which I got caught in and a lot of you get caught up in. And now let's look at the biological construct, the elemental construct. And then we'll start seeing patterns emerge. I mean, it is a fractal universe, internally and externally. Everything is connected. And I can say that without just saying it as a blind thing, because we see people say, oh, everything is connected, but they don't really fully understand what that means. No, it truly is. Everything is connected because everything is made up of elements. Everything is made up of this. This is everything. Okay, so when everything's made up of a table, then it's all about putting together the right elements to create life or death. That's it. That's it. That's as simple as it's going to get. Everything else is just noise and politics and division. So if you're promoting division, promoting politics and all of that, and creating hate groups and intolerance, you're promoting the death trajectory. You're promoting the black hole, the dying star. And then we're going to feed off, once you're dead, we're going to feed off your energy and basically help ours. But that's what I do anyways. With people who are dying, those are the debunking groups. Those people are dying in the debunking groups, okay? I fed off their energy. I converted their energy and made it actually applicable in my life. The OAG, I fed off that energy. When people were reporting me to the Ohio Attorney General thinking that I'm killing everybody, guess what? I turned that whole, what would someone perceive as a negative construct, I created a positive construct out of that, because then it gave me the platform to finally substantiate where I was coming from, to shut them up. They're still not shutting up, and that's fine because they're in their death throes. But I can take that negative energy and I can convert it to positive. When you only focus on negative articles out there talking about all of these, mutated people that are harming their children or trafficking children or trafficking this or doing that and all this flesh-eating bacteria, that is somebody in their death throes, because all they're focusing is on the death and destruction of our society instead of focusing on life. Now we know that that's part of it, that we need to derive benefit and derive energy from those dying things. However, it's a balance. And if all your focus is on the negative aspects of our society, if that's all your focus and you're not giving people a way out, an understanding of why these things happen, then you are part of the death throes. You're part of the black holes, the dying stars, the supernovas, that will eventually, your light will burn out because you're utilizing so much energy and you're not replenishing. So this is something for you guys to think about, those of you that are still playing in the focusing solely on all the negative aspects of our society, the conspiracies, the child trafficking, the horrible moms out there that are harming their children, and all your articles are just either writing about that or focusing on that. then you have an imbalance. You're showing your internal universe waiting to burn out. Okay, so this is just word to the wise. The viruses in our society are messages from the universe. And if you are at a disadvantage, you're handicapped in some way, it's not a bad thing. It is correctable. But you have to apply the right elements to the body to be able to correct the disadvantage, the inability to protect, the inability to adapt. Matt 513, could it have do with the flavor loss or its usage? I'm not sure what that means. You may have to expand that more, Rebecca. But anyways, what I'm saying is that we have the ability to adapt to our society, and we have the ability to adapt to our environment. And there's going to be certain changes in our environment. If they're that extreme, no one would adapt at all. We'd all be dead. But if there's only minor fluctuations, and that's all relative to what you perceive as minor and major. But if it's not so extreme where you can't adapt to the changes, then you have an inability to adapt and you're already on a death trajectory. So those that are okay with their children having major disadvantages, those are okay with being at a disadvantage, focusing on all the negative aspects of our society, those are the black holes. Those are the dying stars. Those that still propagate stem cell research and transplants and all the modern medicine, which is fine for temporary, that's contributing to the black hole, the temporary shining of the stars. We really need to have more of an increased pro-life attitude, and that's applying the right elements. And why is Jilly Juice the right elements? Because we already see, look at all the testimonies down my wall. Look at all the testimonies. People are seeing major changes in their body. And it's all and all those changes are for good, because we're seeing why it is that we have mucus, why it is that we have all these different things, these manifestations from our body based upon a death model. And now we're seeing quite the opposite. We're seeing mucus disappear, not because we're taking something to dry up the mucus, no, because we're seeing that we're now getting control of the pathogens in our body, and we're changing the programming by applying the right elements. And so, that's how we know that the Jilly Juice is the thing that's going to now change the trajectory of our society. And some are going to still stay in their death throes, and you're going to see them. Their light's going to shine briefly, but it's going to die. You're already seeing the dimming of our society. And so if you can just kind of stay far away from it and don't get caught up in it too much, you may actually survive. But those of you that are injecting yourself in the death throes of our society, it's going to be a battle. And it's better to just extricate yourself from those types of things than try to immerse it and change it. Because if you're in it, how can you see and change it? If you recognize what it is and you see it, and you're able to apply the Jilly Juice concepts to say that we don't have to be in these death throes and worry about the flesh-eating bacteria and all this other stuff, then now you are a proponent for life, because you're giving people a way out of those death throes. But those that aren't even applying Jilly Juice or even talking about Jilly Juice, you're contributing to the death throes in our society. Not all of you want to be out there on the line. I get it, and that's fine. But if you're going to promote anything, why not promote life, even if it's controversial? Because those of you who are doing stuff are already dealing with controversial type of stuff, because if you're anti-vax, that's controversial in of itself. So if you're going to promote anti-vax, you might as well promote Jilly Juice, because they're both controversial in just different contexts. See, I don't understand why people that are okay with promoting all the controversial, non-mainstream stuff, alternative stuff, religious stuff, but you have an issue with promoting Jilly Juice. That's what I don't get. And Jilly Juice is far more beneficial than this anti-vax stuff, the fear, which is so controversial. All right, you guys have a great Sunday. Just think about it. Yes, I did talk about, are we in the days of Noah? And yeah, it looks like we are. It looks like we are. So you can choose to be Noah and get on the ark, deal with the waterfalls, promote life, or you can be part of those who are getting washed away. Washed away. All right, talk to you later. Bye.